G'day guys, how are we? Welcome to Boxing Deep Dive. It is Thursday, February 16th, 2023, and this is episode number 60 of the Deep Dive show. It's technically the second or first show, or second of the year, first with my fellow hosts tonight, and I'd like to actually, speaking of those hosts, bring them in. They've been very busy boys. Let's first welcome Grant Tassie Brown and Nick Nunanboy Nunan. How are we, boys?
Good, mate. Great to be back.
How are you, boys?
Noon and mate, representing the Lakers tonight. Well done, LeBron James on beating Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's record. Still not as good as Jordan, but he's a legend.
Yeah, no, he's pretty good.
Mate, just getting it done. Been busy, Lynden. Busy. Boxing is my business, and business is good. I just want to say a quick shout out, Peter Maniatis. Where are you, mate? I'm here again. You can organise the Pack-Out Mundine fight, but you can't beat me in the quiz. So, miss you, Peter. Big shout out to Bill Hack. And my good friend Frank Marcelli is watching tonight, both tuning in, because they love this show and they love the Taswegian.
There he is there, Frank Marcelli. Good luck to Tassie and Beau. Now, we're going to go into that in detail before we get to you, Nick. So, Tassie, obviously, you got big news. Well, obviously, everyone knows about it now, but we're going to go into that in detail. Really looking forward to hear your view. And also, we're going to have a special guest on tonight, Beau Belbin, who's got the opportunity of a lifetime coming up on March 12th against Tszyu. So we'll preview that fight and have a chat to Beau. And he's at your house, is he, Tassie? Or?
He's at my house. He's been here for a few weeks for training camp in Melbourne with another young amateur fighter, Liam McKenzie, who's the Australian middleweight champion, amateur, great kid, a future Olympian. Yep. He's in camp here, and we're just dotting the I's, crossing the T's, training camp lifestyle.
Awesome. And Nunanboy, mate, you've never a dull moment in this sport, is there? I mean, you're on the verge of, well, your counterpart, George Kambosos, is on the verge of announcing something big, I hope. So, and you're all right in the mix of it all.
Yeah, really big. Well, I had a bit of a break there the other week, but there's so much happening now in the world of boxing, and obviously the world of Australian boxing with Kambosos' return, and obviously Tszyu versus Harrison, Liam Paro fighting overseas, Sky Nicholson just recently. I'm really keen to chat to Beau tonight as well, and his thoughts on fighting Tszyu and the fantastic card that No Limit are putting on. You know, I mean, there's just so much buzz around at the moment, and obviously Tszyu Harrison in March, and then obviously Kambosos in May, and then I think you'll probably see somewhere Sarafa will sit, I think, between end of April and May, potentially as well overseas. So there's heaps happening.
Now, I think we might have a bit of a technical issue with Tassie, it says there. It's probably not a bad thing we can't hear Tassie, but can you hear him, Nick? Or?
Yeah, I can hear him.
I can too.
All good?
I think so. We'll keep at it. I don't see any faults from this end, but...
Where are you, Peter, where are you? I'm coming for you, Peter Maniatis.
All right, well, let's see what... hopefully we don't have any more issues anyway. But, all right, boys, well, let's get into the main focus of the show tonight. Obviously, we're going to go through the whole massive card on March 12th. Like you said, Nick, we've got Liam Paro to discuss. We've got some news on Jason Maloney as well. Of course, and all the rest of the Aussie news and some world news, so plenty to talk about. Let's get into the big one, guys, before we bring Beau on. Of course, Tszyu, Tony Harrison, it's been officially announced, we've known it's March 12th in Sydney for a few weeks now, but it's at the Qudos, or however you announce or pronounce it, stadium in Tassie, I'm looking at you, Tassie, in Sydney. Tassie, look, it's a big fight, obviously, for you, but get on to the main event first, mate. It's just a massive event for Aussie boxing, isn't it?
Mate, I'm so happy for Tszyu, and I got to see Tim in training when I was in Vegas only a few weeks ago, because I was obviously there for the fight. Obviously, it didn't happen, so he's looking great in training camp. He's a different beast since that American training camp, and got a very good opponent in front of him. Like I've always said, Harrison is one of the danger men, but given Tim's improvement, his confidence, I think he's going to really shine on the night. I think he'll stop Harrison probably late. But it's a great test because Harrison is the only man to beat Charlo. He's been in some big fights and all the tricks from the Detroit. But Tim's gone to a different level. He's just so focused and he's so self-belief is on another level. So it was a pleasure to watch him train, and I'm really hoping he does this for his legacy, and he'll go and smash Charlo, which I really believe he will. Moon probably doesn't agree, but I believe he will. And he is the best. He is the baddest man at 154. Don't mistake it.
Nick, you were obviously part of the last massive fight in Australia with George. Well, the last two fights with George. It's amazing that within the space of 6, 7, 8 months, whatever it is, we've had like 3 just absolutely massive events in this country. It's quite it's quite a feather in the cap for Aussie boxing, isn't it?
Yeah, well, especially Kambosos versus Dahaney, 44,000 people. It's the biggest event in the last 6 years since obviously Jet and Matty Pacquiao. Tszyu versus Harrison is probably not quite at that level, but still, it's a fantastic thing for Australian boxing. Tszyu versus Harrison for the interim world title. This will be a great event. I'm pumped about the undercard. This is an undercard where there's 3 or 4 Australian domestic main events there in itself, and I think Beau and Nikita's one in itself as well. So for Tszyu and Harrison, I think this is awesome. It's great for Australian boxing, and I think this fight made for Tszyu. This is the perfect fight that Tszyu needs before he fights Charlo. I was going to say Jared Hurd, but I think this is a good fight. Tim's going to learn about what boxing is all about in this fight from a very slick boxer. I backed Tszyu to win the fight though, so I just think he's too strong. He's seasoned for it, and I've got to admit with Tony's taken this on a little bit of late notice. I wouldn't say I'm hoping he's going to be primed for it, but this is a really good fight for Tszyu to get ready for some bigger fights at 154.
Yeah, no, you're right. Tassie, it's been discussed this week that this could be the best Aussie card ever. It certainly looks that way on paper. What are your thoughts? I mean, we've been around a long time and seen a lot of Aussie cards. It's hard to come up with one that might be better.
Yeah, look, mate, it's a great card. Credit to No Limit. Matty and George Rose just keep getting it done. Look, it's a great card. I don't know about comparing things. I mean, I'm always going to go with the old school. But given, some of the even matchups, there are some good 50-50 matchups. So 50-50 matchup-wise, it probably is. But name-wise, I mean, look, still a lot to be proven. So I won't compare to the old days because I'm always going to go with the old days. But it's a great card. All eyes on March 12th. It's an awesome undercard, and it's great for Australian boxing. I mean, it's just it's really picked up and been into Showtime America as well. So it's on a Sunday.
Yeah,
and, boxing's in such a healthy place right now, and a big credit is to No Limit for the work they do. Unbelievable.
And Nick, what do you reckon of that one, mate? Could there be an upset or two on the card? There's some pretty good matchups on there. A couple of them are 50-50. I'm probably thinking Harmon Murdoch is one that could probably go either way. I know Rowan's been a bit inactive. It's probably hard to say. Well, we'll get to them all anyway. But can you see any upset?
The card is, you've got to admit it, the card is spectacular. For No Limit Boxing, from a domestic point of view, well, this is an international thing with Tszyu and Harrison, but the domestic side of it, I haven't seen a card this strong in Australian boxing for a very long time. I was actually thinking, Tassie, the other day, I was trying to go back to Chock's undercards and some other ones, and I went back, to Daniel Gill's undercards. I'm thinking, I don't think I've really seen a card this strong. It's a strong card.
A lot of them cards might have had big names, but they weren't 50-50 fights.
That's what I'm saying.
They never paid as well back then. So I love all the cards back in the day, but they never really paid as well. It was either A side versus very, very B side. There was no 50-50 fights on them shows really.
Tassie, what do you think about the comments made in the last sort of day or two from Michael Zarafa about this fight. Did you see the comments or?
Yeah, mate. There's no need for it. If, like I said, I'd get on with Michael. He's a great guy, but if he was fighting Golovkin or if he was fighting whoever, Tim wouldn't even comment about it. Tim wouldn't even mention him in the media once. So that's a bit of a difference. There's no need for it, and I just think, given their history, Nunanboy might disagree, but there's definitely no call for it, mate. So I sometimes think the best left unsaid, and I don't agree with it. I've got nothing. Michael's a nice guy and always been respectful to me, but for the comment, there's always something about Tim Tszyu, always, and Tim doesn't really mention him much, so take it how you want it, but there's no need for the comments, mate, especially knocking another Australian. There's no need for it.
What did you think, Nick?
Well, the thing I've got to admit is how come No Limit Main Event and Fox Sports run the story?
Good call. Do you think they might be sort of setting us up for what might come next?
Well, unfortunately, in this country, that when Tszyu fights, Zarafa's name comes up.
It does.
Now, this was funny because I actually spoke to Michael Zarafa today about it. BoxingScene.com, who's actually heavy aligned with us, actually ran the story first. They ran it at around about 10 a.m., 11 a.m. your time this morning. And I saw it and I thought, oh, yeah, you know what I mean, they've taken. And I looked shit and I remembered that he did an interview with a certain channel here in Australia that, you know, I think is very friendly with a couple of people at Main Event and Fox Sports. And it looked like a bit of a setup and a stitch-up to me. And then all of a sudden this afternoon, it was on Main Event Facebook and Instagram. It was on Fox Sports. It's all over boxing media. And at the end of the day, like if I say to you now, Tassie, who's going to win out of Rowan and Harmon, and you say Rowan, and I say Harmon, that's your opinion. Zarafa's opinion is he thinks Tszyu will beat Harrison. So I look at it a little bit different. That's just probably the way I look at it.
It's part of the game, isn't it? Yeah, well, it's part of the game, isn't it, Tassie? I mean, Nick's right. I mean, it's the fact that
they're all running the media, the PR plan for Tszyu and Harrison is obviously Tim Tszyu and Harrison. There's going to be Costa's going to come into it, but unfortunately today, because Michael said for 30 seconds in an 8-minute video about him. They've grabbed that, so it goes back to that. So that's just the way mainstream media and Nunanboy and Australian Boxing Central fight and before the fight and Lynden, we can all, doesn't matter what channel, J. Marcus McAllister, even from his new little YouTube channel, we all take different bits.
Yeah.
I think what we've got to realise is that this is a boxing channel, a smaller channel that will grow. Any media is good media, but Zarafa and Tszyu, it still aligns a lot, and there's unfinished business there. But Tim's fighting for an interim world title. Michael's potentially fighting for a full world title. Then I think Tim will fight for 4 full world titles. They're going different paths.
Yeah.
They might not ever fight.
Yeah. Well, let's
move on.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, no, I agree. All right, so Tassie, now I want to get back to, let's get on. Is Beau ready to go? We might get on a bit early. He's around, or?
He's walking up and down the bloody living room like it's a fight. He's ready to go, mate.
All right, well, I'll just quickly bring the slide up and we'll get him on in a minute or two. But this is obviously let's call it the co-main event. It's little Tszyu, Nikita Tszyu against Beau Belbin, the pride of Tasmania. You can step aside now, Tassie. We've got a new Tasmanian hero. His name's Beau Belbin. Let's bring him in now, mate. I've got him. I won't get a different screen for him. We'll just bring him in there. Beau, welcome to the show, mate.
How you going?
Really good, mate. Thanks very much for coming on. How, mate? This must be awesome for you to be part. Yeah, good light. Yep, must be awesome to be, part of such a massive show, which probably could be the biggest in Australian history, and you're front and centre on it.
Absolutely, mate. It's an absolute honour. This is the kind of stuff that people look for in their careers for years. Just to get up on that platform, and to fight on such a great undercard too. And the fights after as well. It's going to be an amazing night, and I'm really keen, 100%.
You've, I've got a feeling you've obviously known about this for, a little while. So when did the training camp begin? I know you're obviously in Melbourne now at Tassie's house. When did it all start? What are you doing, and what's going to be the lead up to March 12th?
Oh look, man, we're just on our grind, like me and Tassie always are. We're pretty secretive about our tactics and our game plans and whatnot. It's nothing out of the ordinary. It's nothing spectacular, but it's just good old fashioned hard work, and we're there to do a job, obviously.
Nick, have you got a question for Beau?
Yeah, for sure. Beau, tell us a bit about yourself and how you got into boxing. We know that you're from Tasmania, and some of the influences that one of the reasons why you got into boxing, and some of your heroes that you look up to.
Oh look, obviously it sort of started based around family. My uncle Guy and my cousin Dean, they were boxing, early 80s all the way through. And I thought I was just a younger family member that was dragged along to tournaments in a dressing gown and diapers, and sort of, basically watched it all from a really, really young age. You could almost call it brainwashing, but no, it's just something that was always around me, and I sort of built up my own passion off that, and watching them and being inspired by it, especially the pro side of things. My amateur career, I only really had an amateur career with the intentions of turning professional. That's all. I never had any expectations. I surely never thought I'd win a national title or two, or represent my state. It was just one of those things where I wanted to get the experience in order to go forward into the pros.
I remember your uncle very well, Beau. Guy, I remember him. He was a bit of a beast. He actually fought my brother back in the day, and I think he got disqualified, and it was a matter of who was going to get disqualified first. There was heads and elbows and probably knees going everywhere, but it was an entertaining fight. But I know he had some wars over there. I still remember he had the old, the Tassie do back in the day, the sort of half mullet, half mohawk or whatever it was. I still remember it. Hey, mate, one question I want to ask you, and I'm sure everyone out there is watching tonight. Obviously, Nikita is being billed as the A side and the next coming and everything else. Tell everyone out there, how is Beau Belbin going to win this fight?
Oh look, we're gonna do what we can, how we can, whatever we can, and we're prepared for everything in this. We're prepared for him to fight. We're prepared for him to box. We're just covering all angles. I change every fight, and I adapt to my opponent, and I don't fight the same. If you go back through my fights, anyone who hasn't copied or seen any, they're very, very different. So they change. And it's not so much that I'm improving. It's based on my opponent. And I need this level, I need to know where I'm at. This is awesome for me in that aspect, If I can get in there and win, loss or draw, do a really good showing of myself, then that's what I'm about here when it comes to this fight. I'm not really about Nikita or what he does. I'm about what I'm doing currently, and that's what I'm going to focus on. I've got respect for him as well. You've got to going in this game. Anyone you get in with, you've got to have respect for. Whether you think it's going to be an easy fight or a hard fight, you've got to have that respect. You never underestimate. You certainly don't overestimate either. You find that middle ground, and that's what we've sort of been planning on doing. And we'll see what happens on the night.
Got another one there, Nick?
What are your thoughts on fighting during the day? Like, you're expected to probably walk out around about 12:45. I think they will have yourself and Nikita on a little bit earlier, just to give each a break. What are your thoughts on fighting around about 12:45, 1 o'clock, mate?
Oh, look, it's our normal training times. Generally, I straight away, as soon as we found out, we started basing our sparring and our hard work around that time of the day, roughly. So, I've always sort of done that. Before, when I fought as the main event, my last fight in Tassie for the Australasian title, we specifically made my sparring and my training at around about 12 o'clock at night that way.
Yeah, right.
I'd get used to it, used to doing the hard work at the time.
Have you met Nikita at all, Beau, at all yet, or not yet?
No, not properly. We've obviously been around the same scene. I watched a no limit card. Grant actually and myself came along to one of their cards. I think it was when he fought Mason Smith.
Yeah, I was up there with you that night. Yep.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, so we watched it and got to sort of get a feel for the scene and all that kind of stuff, which is really important. And you know, it's a good thing to do coming in, especially coming into a fight like this.
Yeah, because he's a bit of a different cat, I think, isn't he? He's a bit left to centre role, Nikita, but mate, yeah, I've actually met. Yeah, no, it does look he's different. What now? The big question is, Beau, is the bloke beside you is he gonna temper the excitement and the enthusiasm? Is he going to behave, or can we count on him to be calm?
I don't know. He's a mixed bag. So,
I see he's excited enough during training. I shudder to think what he's going to be like when fight night comes around.
Yeah, 100%. You'll be able to sort of guess which one. It'll be a competition on the night, I'd say.
And have you got?
I think
Go ahead.
intriguing. I think it's intriguing because we've got to admit Grant's got very close ties to the Tszyu family.
He has.
You know, I mean, he thinks the world of Tim. He thinks the world of Glenn Jennings and obviously Costa and Nikita. I think this is going to test him a little bit this week, that week.
Yeah.
And, I'll be telling my media boys to get over there and get into question.
Camera right on him.
Yeah, you know, what happens if Belbin knocks out Nikita? Like, are you going to be the one, Grant Tassie Brown, that trained the fighter that wrecked the Nikita Tszyu dynasty? Look, it's intriguing. There's a lot of storylines there in Fight Week with Grant, the Tszyu family. But it's all about Beau Belbin on the day. And I'm really looking forward to this fight. I think it's fantastic. You know, people in Australian boxing, we've seen certain negative comments and that. Mate, they're going to know your name after when you fight Nikita Tszyu, and at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. And I've watched a few. I think you bring a little bit of different style than what these other guys have. I think some of the other guys have been a bit overall from at Lynden. Mason Smith was one for mine, but look, at the end of the day, you guys are fighters. You guys can only have the opinions when you walk out there in front of close to 18,000 people. It's going to be electric, and you've got a good man there in your corner, mate, as well. You know what I mean? Like, you got a guy there, unlike a lot of other trainers, and now I'm going to get a bit vicious, Tassie, where your trainer's actually been in there and actually done it. You know what I mean? He's done it professionally. He's been around a lot of big people in the sport, and I'm not blowing his horn here, but there's a lot of trainers out there that actually fucking haven't done it. There's a lot of people out there that don't know what it's like. You know what I mean? When that Vaseline goes on and, the gloves all get wrapped up. So you're in good hands, that's for sure.
Beau, there's a question. Sorry, mate, go ahead.
No, you're all right. Go right ahead.
I was just going to say, I think you answered it before, but just a question there. Nikita's only had the 4 fights, I think it is, and the question there is, what's the keys to beating him? I know you said before it's just being you, I suppose, but is there anything else that we need to be looking out for?
Oh, look, I mean, I'm not looking at the fact that he's had a short record. I think that's irrelevant when it comes to any fighter. Less of a record than someone who's had a massive record. It doesn't come into play. It all comes into play on the night, and that's the thing. You see, I pride myself on not making a dick out of myself. Sorry, can I say that?
Oh, you can say whatever you want, mate.
Basically, I'm not going to go ahead and say, yeah, we're going to knock him out with the, left grip, overhand. I'm going to get in there, and this is my plan. My plan is to do everything possible to get us over the finish line, no matter what. And look, again, win, loss or draw, this is a massive opportunity for me, no matter what, and I'm just looking to perform to the best of my ability. And I don't know. It's all I can really. It's the only way I can answer.
Well, I was just going to say, mate, it's really all you can do is prepare, turn up, and do your best. Really, at the end of the day, isn't it? I mean, we sometimes expect a bit more, but at the end of the day, it's 2 fighters that go to war. Just one last one for you, mate. Is there obviously from Tasmania, big following down there? Is there going to be a bit of a contingent coming over, or?
Yeah. There's definitely a crew coming over, which is awesome, which means a lot to me, man. Especially when it comes to fighting, away. You need those guys that back you and look after you and care about you. And to hear them guys out there in the crowd, that means absolutely shitloads to me. And all these guys that have jumped on board and sponsored me and backed me.
Well, mention them, mate. Give them a shout out.
Yeah, look, every single one of them, especially my constant Tassie ones. Southern Building. Then you've got TJ Painting. You've got heaps of. There's Guerrilla Cartel. Spot on Rio. See, I'm getting told here.
That's all right.
I should have brought my notes.
I gotta say, you need to come prepared. You need to have a T-shirt in front of you so you can read them off the back of the T-shirt.
Yeah. I think I got something over here. I'm gonna get prompted. Give us 2 seconds.
No, that's all right, mate. All good. Get the T-shirt out, Tassie, so we can see who the sponsors are.
Who do you go for in the footy, Bo?
What's that, sorry, mate?
Who do you go for in the footy?
Essendon.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah,
End of interview.
I knew this guy was a good bloke.
That's it. End of interview. All over.
Can't.
See you later, guys.
Ace carts.
Tassie's brought up. We'll go back to my sponsors.
Yeah, go back to the sponsors, mate.
Ace Carts, Purist Labs, Les Styles, Cohen's Cleaning Services, Ink Money, got TB Concrete Solutions, Opal Cartel, you got Manetti Buildings, Yami, Onward, Paladins. Yeah, just, man, all of them that have jumped on board means.
And of course, all the crew down at the boxing. What is it? The gym. Pursuit.
Yeah.
Lim Jecker.
Yeah, Lim Jecker, who's also in my corner and been working hard with both me and Tassie, So,
yeah.
The time people put into you and the effort they put into you, it makes you want to perform on a level that makes everyone proud, including yourself.
Nah, mate, it was a pleasure. Well, I was lucky, a pleasure to sponsor. I think it was the first 3 fights, was it? 3 or 4 fights that we promoted, and mate, always great to have the Taswegians on there, mate. Always come and give a good account of themselves. But mate, just really great to have you on. I can't wait. I'll be there on the night, up in the crowd, and really can't wait to see you perform, mate. And I just thought it was really important to get you on because obviously it's all about. Probably all about Nikita, but there is another fighter in the fight who's a live fight, and I'll give you every chance to win, mate. So all the very best from all of us here at Boxing Deep Dive.
I appreciate it hugely, guys. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
No worries, mate. We might get you on before the fight. Thanks, mate.
Yeah, it sounds good. Here he is.
All right.
All right, I'm back.
That was good, mate. He's a good guy.
Fantastic kid. What a fantastic kid.
My focus is on. My heart and my everything's on Beau Belbin. I think more about Beau Belbin than he thinks about himself. I've had him for his whole pro career. Gave him my heart, my blood, sweat and tears. So sure, as much as I love Costa and Timmy and that, it's all about Beau Belbin for me on the night. And
well, it's business.
There's no mistake. It's all business, and I'm sure everything will be good afterwards. And love and respect to everyone. But listen, Lim Jecker is a big part of this team as well. He was a great fighter, he's a great coach, and he's part of the team.
Great man.
And we're coming. Beau's a very humble young man, and anyone in Australia, you get to know the guy, you'll fall in love with him.
Amazing guy.
He's a good person. Thing is, mate, we're coming to do our best. We're coming to win, mate. I mean, Beau's 7-0, 5 knockouts, and this is a live fight. Something that's been proposed for a while. It was actually meant to be on normal main. It was meant to be the main event on Fox Sports late March as the main event. But then when the Tszyu Undercard happened, when Timmy the Charlo fight, now we're on the Undercard. So, well, look, as I said, mate, we're working hard. We're doing everything we can to prepare, as you said, for any style. Anything happens, I mean, only those that know that have been in the ring, as you know, Lynden, until you're in there, mate, you don't know what's going to happen, how it's going to be, but all you can do, make sure you've done all the hard work in preparation, and that you're 110% ready, and that's what we're going to be.
Yeah. Now, before we get on, and look, as I said before, I promoted, was it the first three fights, I think it was, mate? As I said,
2 or 3 fights.
Wasn't exaggerating.
Just
Just a really, really good guy. Always comes to fight. Made a mess of all my guys from my stable, and no, he's a good guy. And as I said on my show on Monday night, I said, look, don't sleep on this guy. I mean, he's not coming to be an opponent; he's coming to win. So, if you're unsure out there who this guy is, then be prepared for a war on March 12th. So, I've just got thing to bring up here, boys. The one and only Mike Altamura is in the house. What's up?
Well,
I thought he was gone. I thought he'd moved to Nigeria or Zambia or somewhere, but
he's got 5 African passports: Kenya, Sudan, Bangladesh. What's the Zimbabwe, and maybe one other.
Zimbabwe.
So Mike's got a few. He's really more African than he's Australian, but spoke to him yesterday. He's the best in the business.
He is.
No one on Mike's level when it comes to what he does. He's bringing a fighter along to win a world title. So good to see you, Mikey boy.
and let us know when you're coming back, Mike. We need to get you back on. We've got plenty of content. We need your input in. So, guys, we're going to move on because we've got some questions about the other fights on the card. And thanks again for Beau for coming on there, mate, if you let us know. Let's get to the other fights on the card. Let's start with Sam Goodman and TJ Dahaney. Now, this is a really interesting fight, Nick, because obviously TJ is a former world champion. Do you think this might be a step too far for Goodman, or they know something that we don't?
No, this will be a great fight for Sammy, fighting a former IBF world champion in TJ Dahaney. So this is a very, very good test. I think Sam's built for this. I think this will be a real good quality chess match, boxing early, and I think Sam can get the job done early in the fight. But Sam's ready. Sam's just come off an extensive 6 to 7 weeks over in America, like a lot of the boys that are heading over there now. After the likes of, Kambosos and other guys in the days that are doing it. So I'm expecting Goodman to be absolutely firing. He's back home. Shout out to the boys at Complete Boxing. And this will be a cracking fight.
Yeah, it should be, won't it, Tassie? Because Goodman's 13-0, TJ Dahaney's 23-3, and obviously the world champion. So they're not. They don't mind testing the guys early, do they? No limits, like it's sink or swim. If you're going to be part of our roster, you got to perform.
Well, look at Lee Wilson recently, mate. Went over and 12-something fights. I mean, 4th world title, almost pulled it off. So, mate, they believe in Sammy. Dahaney's a great fighter. He actually, my friend Mark Altamura managed him to a world title, I think, in Japan. And he's a very good fighter. I think might be the right time for Goodman. But it's definitely a 50-50 fight. But again, credit to No Limit. And a credit to the guys going over. My good friend Peter Baby Matreski manages Goodman. So, obviously, Baby knows what he's doing in the business. He's one of the best there is. And he's got full faith in young Sammy Goodman.
Nick, do you think inactivity might be a bit of a factor here? So I'm just looking at his record here.
Definitely.
He last fought in March last year, and before that was in August the year before. So he hasn't been, and that was March in 2020. So he hasn't been really active. When you're at that level, though, is it really a factor, or you just, it's a bit like riding a bike, you don't forget?
Well, depends, but as Tassie just said before with TJ, I think he's had, 23-3, is he?
23-3, yeah.
23-3. He's going to bring a lot of ring experience to this fight, where I know that he hasn't fought as much in the last 2 years, but this is the thing. I think early in the rounds he'll start to settle in. You know what I mean? It'll come back to him. If he was a fighter that was sitting around about sort of 8-0 or 8-2 or that 10-1, you'd have to say yeah. But I think TJ's got the experience there to mix it. I think it'll be a very good boxing match. The word boxing I use there. And then Sam Goodman is his volume, his footwork's very, very good for where he's at in his career. He moves the ring very, very well. And I think TJ Dahaney, a bit of a counter puncher as well. I ran a little bit of tape on him the other day. You know what I mean? I think he'll keep Sam honest. I think this will be a real good little boxing match for the boxing purists that'll be there on the day and obviously watching it around the world in Australia.
No, it will be. It should be great. And I'm assuming that's going to be the co-main.
I think that'll and considering it's for the for the WBO Oriental, I think, and I think there's an IBF belt in there as well,
IBF
isn't there?
Intercontinental. Yep.
Yeah, and obviously a WBO. So when we talk about levels, I mean, this has got to be the co-main event, and
Yeah.
no, it'll be a good fight. Fantastic.
That will be. Tassie, let's get on to the next one, which I'm looking forward to seeing as well. Probably not as big, but still a really intriguing contest. It's Koen Mazudia and Ben Mahoney. It's a step up. I suppose you might say it's a step up for both of them because they're sort of at a level where they either need to jump or plateau.
Yeah, mate, yeah. Like, Zudi's been in good form lately. He got the win over Kamakeo, and Mahoney's obviously he's been flying along quite nicely. But I think it's definitely a step up for both. When Mazudi comes to fight, look at the wars of Wade Ryan and Camilleri, and Mahoney, was obviously touted as as probably the best 154 under 10. So it's going to be a good fight. Yeah, it's a really good even matchup, 50-50. Maybe a side edge to Mahoney, but it's a good fight. Yeah.
Nick. So Koen Mazudi's 11-2, and one of his losses was obviously to Luke Woods, and the other one was to Wade Ryan. Ben Mahoney 13-0, but he hasn't really fought at Mazudi's level yet, though, has he?
Oh, it's hard to say. The close win over Chris George. When Chris George was at his peak, and Chris George fought very well that night, I'd probably say that he sort of has been. Don't sleep on Benjamin Hussein either. That win over Benjamin Hussein when he broke his jaw and then obviously got on top of him and then the referee stopped it. Look, Cohen's doing good things in the sport. Ben Mahoney's been a little bit inactive the last year and a half, but I think very keen to put on a big show. I think this will be another cracker. This fight will probably be on a little bit earlier in the day.
Yeah.
This might be your second or third fight, but stylistically, I think these guys. I think this is going to be very. The gap control will be very close. I think after rounds 2 and 3, and I can't see this fight going to the judges. I think that there'll be a stoppage in this fight for sure.
Yeah, well, it's for the WBA Oceania Super Welterweight title, so another 10-rounder. There's 4 10-rounders, and then the 12-rounder. So it's going to be a big day. I like it. I'm a fan of both these guys. I think Mahoney's probably maybe technically a little bit more talented, but I actually like Mazudia. I like his belief in himself and his outlook on life and just the way he approaches everything. I like him. So I hope that's a good fight. On to this one, Tassie. This is another one. If there's going to be an upset, this could be the one for me. This is Isaac Harmon and Rowan Murdoch, and this is a tough because Tassie, it's at super middleweight, which is Rowan Murdoch's division. Isaac's obviously fought there before, but he's more of a natural middleweight. This is an intriguing fight because Rowan Murdoch's 26-2, so he's been around the mark. He's experienced. He's seasoned. Tough fight for Harmon. Yeah. So what are you all?
It's a great matchup. Obviously 50-50 again. Rowan's fought, I think, for Commonwealth title in England. And obviously Harmon has fought up at that weight, obviously even heavier, I think, at one stage. But
light heavyweight, yeah.
Yeah, but Harmon's just had a good camp in America, and it was obviously sparring.
Caleb Plant.
Yeah, so I mean, probably give a slight edge to Harmon, but it's and given Murdoch probably has been active as Harmon, but it is a good fight. It's another world mass card by No Limit. But look, it's a great fight, but I'll probably go with Harmon.
And Nick, again, the inactivity comes into it. Rowan last fought in September last year, but it was against a guy who was 0-3 in Thailand. So I think we can wipe that off as a bit of a glorified sparring session for him. Before that, it was June 2021 when he stopped Les Sherrington. And before that, it was 15 months before that when he lost to Zach Parker. And before that, it was nearly a year and a half before. So since 2018, he's had 3 fights.
Yeah, look, but he's got experience in there. He's been in 25 times fighting Zach Parker.
Yeah.
I think for Isaac, though, there's I think it's a 50-50 fight, but I think with Isaac fighting at 168, this is his weight. Like I used to say to him, and that, Isaac's not a middleweight. He gut wrenches all the way down, and I know him and his team, Les Dudley, who I respect, say, but we don't. Well, I don't know. I thought they got pretty well affected by it when Zarafa stomped him out in 4.5 minutes. You know what I mean? And Zarafa probably didn't even really get out of second gear. So I think with this fight, this is where Isaac Harmon should be fighting at. Is 168. He's just come off 3 weeks over there with Shane Mosley Jr. A couple of people rang me the other day about it, and obviously I didn't know about that, but he was doing some rounds with Caleb Plant. Mate, when you're in with those boys and working together, that's a massive advantage for Isaac in itself. You know what I mean? Murdoch's not getting that sort of work, I would think, as well as what Isaac's been getting the last 3 weeks. I think Isaac's got a bit of a point to prove. You know, I mean, he come back, knockout of the year last year against Beau Belbin. You know, I think Tassie would probably beat Beau Belbin, but look, I think it's a fantastic win. I think there'll be a little bit of riff-raff online and that, but this is, shout out to No Limit again, this is a main event in itself.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, this is one that could probably go in April or May on a Fox Sports card. So, but don't sleep on Rowan Murdoch as well. Rowan Murdoch, for a guy that he's quite big, you know, I mean, he's probably going to be bigger than Harmon in there, you know what I mean? And he can move, you know, he's got good footwork, Rowan. And, you know, I mean, when we saw him against Zach Parker when he was fully fit there, I think it was three years ago, was it? Was it coming up? That's
2019 or 18 when it was, yeah.
It's coming up 4 years. You know, I mean, he got outboxed through the middle parts of the round, and obviously then it got stopped very, very late in the fight. But Rowan's got a lot of experience, so mate, it's a 50-50 fight. This will be an absolute crack, and I think that'll probably be around about the fourth last fight of the night, which is good.
Yeah, Tassie, I agree with Nick there. I actually like the fact that Isaac's probably gone to super middleweight. He obviously has fought at light heavyweight before. You know, be waiting with his shoes and clothes and everything on. But I think at this weight I like him because I agree with Nick. He does look really drawn when he gets down to middleweight. And he's not the most graceful guy in the world, Isaac. But he relies on his strength and his power, obviously. So I don't mind him going up 8 pounds to bring that with him rather than being at middleweight and really negating himself. What do you think?
Yeah, me too, mate. I've seen knock out some pretty good guys up in those weight divisions when he first started, blitzing everyone. I mean, who's that good boy he knocked out in your show, Lynden?
Matt Sheehan.
Sheehan, yeah.
So, I mean, you know, his success was always at a heavier weight. And you know, I wouldn't like him to be any heavier. I think super middleweight is really good for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. This to me, I think we'll say a lot more about Isaac Harmon after this fight. You know, whether it's win, lose, or draw around about the 168. You know what I mean? Like Caleb Plant's a 168 fighter the other day. I haven't seen the photo, but if he was in there with him, you know, I mean, these guys that's what he's going to be at. I think you're right, Taz. Like when you fight the guys at a lower level, you could probably gut wrench down to 160, but. You know, I mean, clearly when it got to Zarafa, and this is the funny thing, Zarafa's a very small middleweight. You know, he's a very sort of slippery, sort of technical sort of guy at 160. The big middleweights, obviously, you know, for Isaac would be very hard to get down, and then he come in a little bit drawn from it, you know what I mean? I know it worked previous, but, you know, we go back to the Taj Singh fight, you know what I mean? The Taj Singh fight, where it went the full 10 rounds, you know what I mean? Was that a factor as well? That extra 3.5, 4 kilos could be a telling factor in this fight.
Yeah, no, well, I think a big fan of Isaac and and Rowan Murdoch, of course, he's a big super middleweight, so that'll be a ripper. I'll tell you another fight I'm looking forward to seeing, guys, is this one. It's Paulo Acuso and, how do you pronounce his name? Unieski Gonzalez.
Unieski Gonzalez.
So I don't really know much about him. Nick, what do you know about him?
Mate, I know absolutely nothing about him. So there you go from me. I know a lot about Paulo Acuso, and I think
levels.
I'll admit it, I don't know nothing about Gonzalez, but I tell you what, for Acuso, you know, I mean, I think he'll be third last fight of the night. Big show. You know, sweet pea sort of style, very good, clean boxer. Yeah. This guy sort of, I've seen a little bit about his record and that, but I don't know the style that he fights, and you know, I mean, whether it's going to be, you know, what I mean, if he's going to come strong, you know, if he's big at that weight, I don't know a lot about him.
Well, Tassie, he's 21-5 now. He's actually got a very, very good record. He's lost his last 2 fights, but listen to the guys he's lost to: Andre Durrell and Gilberto
Ooh.
Ramirez. So he's lost to both those
Yeah,
guys.
I saw that.
Yeah, and before that, he's lost to Alexander Gavotsky. I think it is back in 2007. He was a bit of a stretch of inactivity there, but his last fight was in November. And before that was about a year before. So he's semi-active. But those two opponents there, and he went to the 10th round in both of them. So he's not a pushover.
No, he's obviously been in with some good standard of quality opponents. But I mean, I don't think they'd be risking him this early if they didn't know something, Acuso. So I mean, I know he's on the fast track to a world title, but I'm sure that as good as it sounds on paper, they've done their homework, and I think that will be pretty safe. And I'll obviously tip Acuso to win.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's probably, even though he's had 3 fights, I mean, this guy he's just class, isn't he, Nick? I mean, this guy is just a world champion. He reminds me a lot of, like an Andre Ward or a Dahaney or a Shakur Steve, just that style. I know he's got the style, and a little bit like Jaya Pataya as well. Just that really cool, well balanced style, and he just fights the pace, the fights at his pace.
That left hand.
I don't mean to get off the subject, boys, but I want to ask where a bloke is who would have been, I think he would have been on this card. What's going on with Harry Garside? Where's he at? What's he doing? I've seen Johnny Lewis got rid of him, and I think Peter Matreski might have got rid of him as well. He's going on. He's fighting amateur at the moment overseas, and he's going on. I'm a celebrity, get me out of here. I really don't know what's going on.
It's an interesting one, isn't it, Nick? Because, I mean, obviously Johnny Lewis is going to say, hey, he's no nonsense. He's any grey area is going to let him go. But do you think it's actually not a bad thing for Harry to go back to the amateurs for the meantime? Or, I mean, I can't believe they're allowed to, by the way.
It's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, I can't believe it either.
It's ridiculous, mate. I mean, it's a joke. It's as bad as he's painting his bloody toenails. It's pretty bad, mate.
And wearing the skirt. Hey, Nick, what do you reckon of this comment here? Tassie's going to be like a dog with 2 dicks in Beau's corner on March 12th. Carl. You got to talk to Carl. He's the character. He loves you, Tassie.
Yeah, I don't know about that, Carl, mate. I've got a job to do, mate. And I've been in big fights before, and I want to allude to you, Lynden, too. Mate, you're making it sound like I haven't been involved in big fights before. I've been in Luke Jackson's corner about 20 times at the highest level.
Yeah, we know, Taz, we know.
No, let me speak, Nunan. You'll have your time, son.
We know what you've done,
I've been in Anthony Mundine's corner. I've been to big fights all my whole life, so I don't get overawed, I don't get excited. I'll be very calm and very precise in my instructions on fight night. Let me tell you that, boys.
Yep. No, I'm sure you will, mate. Well, let's get on to the next point of on the schedule here. It's something you should know a lot about, I'm hoping, Nick. It is Liam Paro. He's up against, is it Robbie Davies Jr. on March 11th, is it, in Liverpool?
Liam Paro Jr., fresh out of the Ace Boxing Group, promoted by Matchroom Boxing, brand ambassador for fighthq.com.au. Mate, fantastic fight. This guy is only 1 fight away now. He should or could be technically fighting for the world title, the WBO 140-pound world title. This is a guy, and I'm going to give props here to Tszyu. Like, Tim Tszyu fighting Tony Harrison, which is a fight, which is a very, very tough fight that he didn't have to take. This is not a fight that Liam Paro needs to or has to take. This is a fight where he's going to become more of a global brand. He's going to be more like a George Kambosos when George went over around the world and fought in his division prior to, obviously, when he stepped up against Selby Lopez and then the blockbusters against Haney. Mate, this is a good fight. You know what I mean? Liverpool, this is a tricky one because it will be, guys, Sunday morning, the 12th. Liam will probably walk to the ring around about 8 a.m. And then, obviously, all eyes go to No Limit at 9:15 a.m. So, yeah, live on DAZN and Matchroom around the country. Paro, 23-0, undefeated. it's 23 or 20, yeah, 23-0 now, is it? I think. Coming off a very, very devastating first round knockout where Tassie tipped the Brock Jarvis. I don't know what he was thinking there, but that was his opinion. And Brock went out very, very quickly.
Yeah. Oh, hang on. I've muted
He's not
Tassie.
mute. Hang on, he's muted.
Sorry, go ahead, Tassie. Sorry.
Hey, Taz.
I was listening to my old mentor, Jeff Fennick. Sorry, I was listening to Jeff.
But no, it's great. Lynden, this is fantastic.
Yeah. Nah, well, it probably works in well, doesn't it, Tassie, into the no limit card. I'm sure everyone will be up early to watch this and then straight into the Tszyu card. It's going to be, and it would have been great if Jack Bowen had been the night before as well against Mark Lucas, which has been cancelled. I think you said, Nick. So it would have been a ripper weekend. Still going to be, of course.
No, it still will be, but this will be a very, very good fight. You know, Robert Davies Jr. is a tough man. He's a bit of a taller. He's a boxer mover. He's got a bit of pack on his punch, and Paro's going right into his backyard to steal the chocolates and overcome it. I think it's going to be fantastic. It's going to be a good fight. I think Paro will beat him too. And I think this is the thing with Paro. These guys, they go over for 2 weeks and 3 weeks. Shout out to Liam Wilson, his team that went for 8 weeks. I want to tell you now, Paro lives in Vegas. He is Vegas.
Yeah.
You know, there's even people around Vegas calling him, Aussie Vegas. He's got a new nickname, I got a text off Devon yesterday, and I got a text off Liam, the 8 hard rounds with Dahaney yesterday, He's been with a lot of different fighters all around that city, the guy's getting good quality work, and I think he's another one of these guys that's just gone from, level 7, level 8 to level 9, he just keeps going and going, and I haven't seen a fighter, Zarafa I put right up there as when Kambosos was fit and Zarafa's fit, but Liam Paro, mate, his running times, this guy's a very, very fucking fit individual, I tell you.
What do you think of that comment there, Nick? Says, I disagree. I think this fight is rubbish. Who was Robbie fought? I don't really know. I haven't really his record, but...
Mate, Robbie's fought a lot of good fighters. This is not a rubbish fight, mate. This will be the co-main event on Matchroom Boxing.
So it's a Callum Smith, isn't it?
Yeah, Callum Smith. So this will be a good fight. Trust me with that. And whenever you go and step up against a guy that you're fighting in his backyard, who's world rated, this guy's world rated as well. So it'll be a good fight.
Now, guys, just want to quickly go to this man here, Jason Maloney. Now he's copped a little bit lately from a couple on my show on Monday for not copping it, but people sort of bewildered a little bit why the fact he didn't fight Nunan for the WBC title. Obviously, there's a lot of politics and all that involved and promotional companies. You probably know about this, Nick, but one thing I have had a little birdie told me that there's a big announcement about to be announced with Jason.
I'm not going to.
No, not going to.
I know. No, well, we're not going to spill the beans. Tolls. I haven't got it off Tolls either. So
let's just say for all you people out there that are wondering why the hell Jason didn't fight Nonito and everything else, there's a massive fight on a massive card about to be announced, and I think once it is announced, everyone will probably see why certain decisions were made. So just want to throw this in there that everyone out there that's scratching their head about why didn't he fight Donaire, then you're about to have all your queries answered. Massive
big
fight, massive card.
Big fight. Potentially, I'm not even going to say where the city's going to be, but I'm going to talk about something. And when you talk about boxing, there's levels in it. Be very, very careful when you start saying fighters are ducking other fighters. Yep. When it's not the fighters, when it's promotional companies. I'm not even going to say the promotional company. I don't even, they do promote at Beau Belbin. There's your little hint. But if you're going to do shit business in the sport of boxing and be an absolute fucking Gronks, well, you know what I mean? There's levels to it, you know what I mean? Yeah. So there's obviously, shout out to Carl Moretti, who I respect, and Brad Jacobs, and your old mate Bobby Aaron. There's obviously some moving parts behind the scenes there why that fight didn't start. And it's the same with Regis Prograis.
Yep.
Probably some people on here haven't even heard of Regis Prograis. Regis Prograis is one of the biggest up-and-coming stars in the 140-pound division, who signed with pro Beau Belbin, and there's a reason why he's hard to match as well. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. No, it's going to be massive. And, I think Tassie, I did say this on the show the other night, fighters don't duck other fighters at that level. There might be business decisions involved, but to say that Jason doesn't want to fight Nonita Donaire because whatever reason, I mean, and I've got no doubt it's not Jason's decision. Obviously, it would have been above him, but I think people to say he's scared or afraid or ducking, it's a bit of a long straw to draw.
Jason would have loved. Jason would have loved to fight Donaire. Jason sparred him years ago when you were in Lynden.
Yeah.
So Jason probably would have picked him out of anyone. But as I said, it is a business. There's promotional companies, there's TV networks, and the gone are the days of a fight just being made simpler back in the day.
Yeah.
Now TV networks and promoters and everything's got all the stars have to align to get a big fight. So, but he's in a good position. He's earned his position, and Jason, no doubt in my mind, sometime this year, Jason will be world champion.
Yeah, and hopefully Andrew will follow him. One last thing on the Aussie front, guys. Nick, Lucas Brown, another chance at the top level. Is fighting Jarrell Brown in Dubai. It's not a bad fight. Yeah,
we broke this first. Jarrell Miller coming back to the sport of boxing. Let's just hope he's clean. He's been done a few times before. You know, I know his manager Alvina Alston out of New York. This is a great fight for Jarrell Nunanboy. Yeah, well, I'll tell you one thing about Lucas Miller, mate. Don't sleep on him because there was a little birdie that was running around Marvel Stadium, very, very, very happy after he knocked over Junior. Obviously, Junior Farr, but this is a good fight. I think Lucas is doing the right thing. Let's not knock him. People like knocking these guys. He's doing what he has to do late in his career. He's probably getting good money. I think the big thing here is hopefully the show goes ahead, Tassie. Lucas, hopefully it goes ahead. And I think Lucas will beat him.
Yeah, I'm just wrapped that Lucas Miller's. Sorry, I'm all mixed up here. Lucas Brown, not Lucas Miller, is still in the game, and I mean he keeps himself ready. He'll fight anyone, so I hope he gets his chance.
And before you get off the Australian news, Lynden, a couple of other big fights. Yusuf did fight Kai McKenzie, I think the week after the No Limit show on Billy Hussein show, my brother. Yep. That's a great fight. Kai McKenzie, I think he's been a two-time Australian champion. Yusuf Dib, been an Australian champion. It's a great fight. And Paul Fleming fights as well against a very good Filipino fighter. And I think a win there will really get Paul probably top 5 and get a world title shot as well. So a couple of other fights just to mention there, Lynden.
Yeah, and I've got one here as well. And I didn't even know hang on, I'll get off. I've got myself in there. I didn't even know about this, guys, until the weekend. Hang on. John Manu is fighting in the States this weekend. Yeah, he's fighting American Kurt Scooby. Thanks very much to James Gorman who sent that through. I didn't even know. So he's fighting 10-0 American Kurt Scooby in the States.
It's on a Lou DeBella show. Reason I know, because I was in America recently, boys, and obviously with Bill Haney and Devon, and got invited back to Bill's house, which was amazing. I got a text because I was organising sparring for Beau Belbin against John Manu because he's a southpaw.
Good kid.
And his trainer messaged me, he goes, sorry mate, we've just been offered a fight in America, so we'll be away. And I said, that's awesome, guys, because John Manu went to Canada, beat an undefeated fighter. Kambosos Haney, number 2, beat an undefeated fighter. And now he goes to America against another undefeated fighter. So John Manu is the road warrior. It might not be that well known yet in Australia, but I'll tell you now, if he pulls this off again, John Manu, mate, is a name to keep in your head.
Yeah. Just one question, Nick, you can probably answer this one. Back to the Maloneys. Do you think Andrew Maloney will take the fight against Zahunto Nakatani?
Junto. Yeah,
Junto, how do you pronounce it?
Yeah, Junto Nakatani, great fight for Andrew. Don't sleep on Andrew Maloney this year as well. He's another one that sits there with a couple of these Maloney boys. They're a bit like some other fighters. They sit in different sanctions as well, which is very encouraging for them as well. But no, looking forward to hopefully that getting announced shortly, or it might even be on Jason versus we can't say, which will be a big one. Double header. I like when Jason and Andrew fight on the same cards. I think it's fantastic. I think what the work that Bob and Carl did with them overseas, and then if we get it on back in Australia and all that sort of stuff, so should be good.
Well, another question here from Carl. Why would Jason turn up to the WBC convention and agree to fight Nunanboy? Yeah, good point, Carl. Knowing full well Top Rank don't play with Pro Bell. I don't. Maybe they didn't. Maybe it was in play at the time and the decision was made. Who knows? But I think, Tassie, if we sit around trying to make sense of promoters and everything else, we'd go nuts.
I'm just a bit surprised, and I've got a very good friend that was he knows more about it than I do, but I don't understand how, future Hall of Famers like Donaire and current World Championship pre-guests would sign with Pro Bellum. If there was any ifs or buts about him, I know Rod Schaefer was involved, but obviously we know the main reason. It's going back to Daniel Kinnigan, who's the big Irish cartel boss, who was the founder of NTK. Let's not beat around the bush. That's what it's about. So, America's is the most wanted man in the world. America's banned anyone that's had any dealings with him. It was the founder of NTK. He's really behind Pro Bellum. So I don't know how the big fighters with managers and that didn't do the homework enough when they signed, and now they're in a bit of limbo. So I mean, yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah, well, who knows? But I'm sure it'll all be announced soon, guys, and we should have a bit more clarity. Let's get on to just a few more points before we finish up. Let's go overseas, Nick. Davis Garcia, still not announced. We're under 8 weeks to go. Are we missing something here? Is it going to get signed, or is it going to be another one that goes through to the keeper?
No, I think this is Javante and his team and Al playing a few games here. This is what Al does, mate. He's a bit of a game player. He's a smart man. I said this on my Facebook the other day, which I don't talk on there much as I used to, but I think Javante and Al are just playing a few games here. I mean, Ryan Garcia comes out 2-3 weeks ago. You won't see me on social media as much. I'm zoning in. Fuck, I've seen him on social media every day. I think Javante's playing a few games, just niggling him a little bit, rocking up to the Super Bowl in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
He's a smart guy. I think the fight will go ahead. I don't know. I just think with this fight, it keeps talking about April the 15th. Something tells me, I know Canelo's looking at fighting Patrick Ryder in the first week of May. I just think this has got Cinco. This has got May written all over this fight. Obviously, Al and the team, and obviously Oscar's heavily involved in this. And look, there's a lot of hype and PR around. The contract and the mutual contracts on the Garcia fight if Garcia does win the fight. What network it's going to be on. But no, I think it'll go ahead. And I think Javante is very, very zoned in on it. And I kind of think Javante beats this guy too. And I think Javante beats him before he gets in the ring as well. That's just my opinion on it.
What do you think, Tassie? Oh, hang on.
Yep.
Yep.
I hope it happens. I mean, I'm a big fan of Javante. And I met Ryan back with Canelo years ago. He's a good dude. But Canelo's fighting in Mexico, so that's definitely going to be Cinco de Mayo in May. No question about it. No question. So, look, I hope it happens. I don't want it to be another Spence Crawford, even though it's not on the boxing purist fight as Spence and Crawford. But given social media age and a pay-per-view just likely to do, given to Garcia's big platform and obviously Tank's, it'll do big numbers. So let's not mistake it. There's no belt involved because Dahaney's got all 4 belts. So it's not for a title. But it is a good fight between two very good lightweights. and it's big on social media. It's two guys that are very big in the current world. Whether Ryan deserves to be there or not, he can fight. I wouldn't sleep on Ryan. He's got a good left hook. He's very tall and quick, but I think Tank's another beast. But honestly, in the lightweight division, Dahaney is the king. I've got Shakur Stevenson, even though he hasn't fought there yet. I think he'll one day be the man. Devin's likely to move up. And Tank's there. Tank's there. I don't know about Styles if he beats Shakur or Devin, but he definitely is there. So look, I hope the fight happens. I've actually been invited to Devin Haney versus Lomachenko by Bill Haney himself, so don't know if I'll get to both, but definitely looking at Devin versus Loma.
Nice. What's that, May 20th, isn't it? So, May 20th. Carl, after Tanker shit on his truth post and post hitting us, I realise he's got good mental toughness. Okay, let's. You mentioned before Alvarez and Ryder. Nick, this is looking like it's going to be May the 6th in, is it Jalisco, Mexico? I was a little bit surprised. I was surprised it was announced for Mexico. I would have thought that, I said this again on Monday night, that I would have thought Eddie Hearn would have taken this as an opportunity to give him, to the British public, because it'd be massive over there.
Well, yeah, that as well. But the thing is, Canelo being the A side, fighting in his home country, Eddie's done shows down there before. It'll be the first time that Canelo's fought in Mexico for a very long time, which I think will be really, really big. And this is a really, really good fight. Don't sleep on John Ryder too. He's no average sort of man in the park. Formerly known in Australia that when he fought Bilal Akaway and blasted him out of there. That was a massive step up for Bilal Akaway. Shout out to him. But John Ryder can punch, mate. But I'm very keen to see Canelo really come out really red hot for this fight. He's got a point to prove, and then I think the fight you'll see after that August, September will be obviously against Bivol.
Tassie, it's probably the perfect opponent for Canelo, isn't it, John Ryder?
Yeah, mate, look, Canelo's coming off injury. He's a bit sort of, he's entitled now. He's earned the Mayweather spot of being able to do what he wants when he wants. And look, Bivol, better DS should happen. I would like to see Canelo fight Bivol again, unless it was a super middleweight. Styles make fights. But the other Mexican monsters fighting Caleb Plant, I don't think if Plant wins, he'll fight Plant again. Not much use, but he could fight Benavidez. There's still a few guys out there. You know what? There's not that much out there that are massive, I don't think, for Canelo at the moment. So real fighters take fights. Many, Canelo fights regularly. The old still fighters had non-title fights as well back in the day.
Yeah.
The Chavezes, the Whittakers, look, I'm going to argue about fighting John Ryder. But it'll be interesting to see Canelo fights after that. Because nothing really hits me hard. Benavidez, Plant again, the Bivol fight. There's not really much around that really I'd get massive. I'm like, wow, it's Canelo Triple G1, Canelo Cotto. Really, or Canelo Mayweather.
Yeah, Charlo could have been that guy, but who knows what's going on with him.
Fuck Charlo. Fuck Charlo. Charlo's wasted WBC's time. He should have been stripped. Mate, the Charlos are both goose. I know Nunan doesn't mind him. Mate, he wasted 16 months. WBC didn't strip him. So, Charlo's a joke, mate, the middleweight Charlo. He's a fucking joke.
Yeah.
A joke.
Hey, just a little bit of break in there. Thanks to Anthony Joaquin Arrieta. Thanks for joining in, mate. WBC has just approved Donaire versus Alexandro Santiago for the vacant WBC title. So that will probably help the dominoes.
Ariete.
So that will hopefully start the dominoes to fall that we get all four belts fought for. So thanks for that, Anthony, and thanks for joining in the coverage, mate. Hey, just one more thing, guys. What's going on with this one? Is this another Spence Crawford or whatever? Are we going to get Fury versus Usyk, Nick? What's happening?
I think we're going to get it. I think they're in the final stages now, just locking in the stadium.
Yeah. Where do you think it'll be? England or Dubai?
I think it'll be in England.
Yeah. Wembley?
I think it'll be in Wembley. It's a massive fight. It's a good fight. It's going to be funny having Tyson sort of trying to get down low at the boxer. The boxer trying to get up high against the bigger, thudding, hard-hitting Fury. But, yeah, I think something big will come out in the next couple of days around that from, obviously, Frank Warren and the guys there that will be doing that. And, obviously, Carl Moretti and Bob Arum will be very close to it. It's a good fight as well. Don't sleep on Usyk as well. You know, I mean, he's a very, very cagey customer. But is he big enough to hold off the 6'8" giant and hard fucking hitting Tyson Fury? Fuck, I've seen Fury fight live, and he's fucking incredible to watch live when he's on. You know, I mean, this is the thing. You know, his last couple of fights, he actually hasn't really been on. You know, I mean, like when he steps it up, when he knows it's a big fight, he goes to another level. This guy, you know, in the Deontay Wilder fights. You know, I mean, this guy's. He's a big time fight, big time stages, Mr. Entertainment, blockbuster, you know, levels. So, yeah, I think they're looking at April 28th or 29th.
Yeah, 29th, I think.
Oh, you got it on the screen, yeah, in London. So,
yeah. Well, let's hope so. Yeah, it'll be good. Tassie, what do you make of it? Do you think? Well, they're obviously running out of time to announce it because they're going to have to build it up and everything else. And I think they had to make a decision within a week, I think I saw. So what do you think? Big in Wembley Stadium, 90,000, 100,000?
Yeah, look, who knows, man? Like, who knows? I boxed in. We thought we had Crawford Spence. Who knows when Fury's involved? I love Fury. He's great for boxing. Great guy. I respect Usyk too as a fighter. Look, I hope it happens. I hope it happens. You can't rule out Usyk, but I think Fury beats him. Still like to see Fury Joshua Battle of England. I really would. I still think Fury Joshua was one of the biggest fights out there in England.
Yeah, I agree.
It'll break all records in England. But all I can say then, I hope it happens as a fan. But who knows in this game, Lynden? Like, seriously, you can never. I'm not game enough to really say any fight's going to happen these days, really. You know?
Yeah, it's not done till it's done. Hey, speaking of fights getting done, Nick, we've got Jules put on here before. How far away are we from getting a Kambosos announcement?
I think Kambosos will play his card right. He's got a very smart team. He's got some very smart individuals now that are around his team. I would say they would go around the late March, middle of March after Tszyu Harrison. And, yeah, I can't really report too much on that.
Yeah, that's fine.
But I'll be honest. There's Luda Bella and obviously Jim Kambosos and George, who manages himself. They're obviously in negotiations with some moving parts now, but it'll be a big fight. It'll be a really big one. So,
well, Anthony says they'd like to see George against Miguel Berchelt. Is it? How do you pronounce that? Berchelti or something?
Yeah, Miguel Berchelt. Well, that's actually a name that actually, shout out to Anthony Jocanarita. That's actually a name that actually has been thrown around. Linares' name has come out, and a couple of other American ones as well. So, look, there's some moving parts for George. Obviously, when you lose those world titles and you have to go back to still being a top 10 world rated fighter and a full undisputed world champion, he's still a big name in the world of boxing. But it won't be a Dahaney or a Shakur Stevenson. That's for sure, but a good fight, a very good fight, a good comeback fight, and I think you'll see a very different Kambosos in this fight off the back of what he went through with the two Dahaney fights. Because like Tassie was saying before, where I rate Dahaney is he's one of the top. He's in my top 3 boxers in the world right now, if not the top boxer. When I'm talking about boxing, you know, he's incredible.
Yeah.
And an incredible human, to be honest, as Tassie knows. Yeah. Tassie got to be around there with Bill and the guys in Henderson and the family, and there's a lot of similarities to George and Jim Kambosos as there is to Bill and Devin, and what we've found out where Bill and Devin have done it the hard way, and they've come up and they've done things their way. They keep their team very, very small, don't they, Taz? And Bill Haney, an amazing, incredible human, and I think Bill Haney will have some things going on with Team Kambosos in the future as well.
Let me touch on that, mate. As I said, mate, Bill Haney is an amazing person. The family. Yeah. I mean, I got to be around him in Melbourne, but then to be in Vegas, to be invited back to their house, and his lovely wife put on a lunch, and him and my fiance got on. Him and his wife and my fiance got on great. Me and Bill actually sat back and watched a better DF fight versus Yard. So, and the kids were running around, and just to be invited back there, mate. Really beautiful humans. I really want to thank Bill for his hospitality, and then to watch me, invite me back to watch Haney Lomachenko, pretty much part of the Haney team, and to watch Devon train the other day, top rank. So, big shout out to Bill Haney and family. Incredible human beings, mate. Incredible humans.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I'll tell you one thing, Tassie. Obviously, we can't. Obviously George and his team are ferocious, and that will announce it. But I'm pretty sure you'll see George, Jim, and myself at that fight as well.
Yeah, good.
Nice.
Supporting Devon Haney. I'll be supporting Devon. But obviously, when George goes over to America, his digital media is just massive. You know what I mean? His analytics, Lynden. Just to teach you guys a little bit about his media presence. He's Australia's #1 covered fighter globally, digitally, Kambosos. It's absolutely through the roof. So obviously, when he goes back into America, a lot of people still talk about him, and obviously a lot of people still talk about him in Europe. So he's still got that name there. The guy that obviously
he deserves it. He deserves it all, mate. And like you touched on, what Liam Paro's doing is similar to the Kambosos.
It's similar, isn't it?
Because he went away, he done his things. He was quiet, but he got the runs on the board, and he went to many a backyard. And we'll never forget the win over Lopez. I mean, to me, he's destroyed Lopez's life. I mean, Lopez is cooked in my opinion now. But I mean, George, the losses against Haney, you cannot take one thing away from him. And mate, still, and I'm happy that he is fighting again, and he deserves. He wouldn't fight no one else but a good opponent, but he deserves, that little bit lesser because after them 2 back-to-back fights against Haney, George deserves to get back in the winner's circle, and he's still got a lot to do. Devon's probably going to move up, to 140, so George is always going to be a 135 fighter. So then belt's free up. He's got the name.
One last thing. One thing before I let you go, we've had a comment here from Anthony again. Paul Fleming against Charlie Suarez. Now, who's promoting that? That's on a Wednesday night. Is that a No Limit show?
No, it's not a No Limit show at all. It's
been a Wednesday night?
No, mate. It's out west.
Mount Druitt.
I think it's in-house with Paul and his manager. I don't know. Paul and all them guys and Jack Kipp all signed with DNL. So I think DNL's have they just finished boxing now because they're all Jack Kipp's fighting Quinlan, which is a great fight.
I saw that.
So I don't know, is he silently promoting it? I mean, he's still got he lost Huni. He's still got Opataya. What's going on with DNL? There's no limit. There's no limit forcing him out of Australia. What's happening?
Well, it makes it tough for him, doesn't it, Nick? Because with no TV, at the moment, I think knowing Dean Lonergan, I think he'll pop up with a streaming app or something. But at the moment, it's pretty hard to.
These fighters, Lynden.
Yeah, I know.
What's going on?
Don't know.
I think the thing that people have got to realise with boxing in this country, and I've said it for 4 years since I've started sort of covering it more, is very, very niche sport in a very, very small country. We're talking about a country of 26 million people. We're a small country, and we've got probably around about 220,000 boxing fans and really probably 40,000 die-hard boxing fans. When we really think about it. Now, Kambosos, Tszyu, they're going a different route where they're at in their career. And full shout out to No Limit and the team that have backed Tszyu in. Just remember, Dean Lonergan had his chance to sign Tszyu.
He did, yeah.
I'm going to tell you, he did, right? So you got to go with Matt Rose at the time, who signed Tszyu. You know, what I mean, people can say, "Oh, yeah, they got Tszyu." Well, there's a lot of risk that comes with that for No Limit as well.
Well, that was their first big signing.
That was their first big signing. They were going out as new promoters. DNL had Jeff Horn at the time, so they've done tremendous work with him. You know, I mean, I think Tim could be better with the media, but his name's Tszyu. It's not Tim Smith. Kambosos, obviously, I think is our biggest worldwide fighter, but that's a different route. But when I get on to guys like Liam Paro, Justice Honey, Michael Zarafa, the Maloneys, Jai Opataya, and these guys, that next tier, I think some of them are making the right decisions on where they're going. Now, Liam Paro's going global. Justice Honey is going to fight here. I can't say when the date is, but because I don't know. I'm not saying that I do know, but he'll preferably fight twice overseas this year. So that's where us at Australian boxing and media have to get behind. He's going to go global. Now, Jai, you know this division very well, Tassie, and Lynden, you do too. There's no real stars in the cruiserweight division around the world. So Jai's going to have to link up with a promotional company, either if it's a boxer, Benny Shalom and the fantastic guys, or Matchroom, or whatever they do. And D&L as a promotional team are going to have to work in with Jai. He's going to have to go global as well. Jason and Andrew is different. Obviously signed with Top Rank. Top Rank could work him back here, you know what I mean? Whether Danny Green wants to get back involved with promoting. I think it'd be great to see the Green Machine and Angelo Hyder. I've had heaps of comments with me, people saying, this No Limit thing's bad for boxing. Well, no, it's not bad for boxing. Tassie knows this. We've been through this before. Because Jeff Fennick has alluded on this. We've been through this before. Main event in Fox Sports are choosing to go a certain way with No Limit. Other promoters can still do their things. It's easier now to market boxing than it was 5-6 years ago when we just relied on TV. And that's where it's coming back to streaming platforms. And this other thing. A lot of these fighters, they think they've got big social media platforms, but when you actually get them on to promote a fight, well, a lot of their actual followers don't actually watch it, you know what I mean? So there's different leverages in that, but I don't think it's a bad thing for the sport. I just think it could go so many different ways, especially I feel sorry for Jai at the moment, but I know Jai is a fucking warrior. He's our current world champion, and I can see Jai either fighting back here in Australia in April, against Masternak, or he fights overseas and he gets the money that he's deserved and he builds the Opataya brand like Kambosos built the brand overseas, and he might do it 2 or 3 times and then he can come back here and headline a big show because more people will behind him. When you see the analytics, and Brock Ellis at Oz Boxing and certain individuals and the team at No Limit, we see the analytics. And there's not a lot of stars in Australian boxing. We think there is. I'm talking about stars. Like back in your day when Chop was a superstar. You know what I mean?
Danny Green, yep.
Yeah, Danny Green, Daniel Gill, you know what I mean? Victor Darchinian, Costa.
I love Daniel Gill, mate. He's my brother and one of the best fighters ever had, but he didn't break that market into where everyone knew him.
That's what I'm saying, but I'm talking about stars,
that's right,
superstar.
Listen, it's like Robbie Peter. Robbie Peter's probably the greatest fighters Australia's ever had.
Fucking oath.
Fighter to have his whole career based in America and won the world title for Ferrer, Marquez, Nate Campbell. Robbie Peter alludes on, I don't get stopped at a shopping centre. And that's true, he doesn't. Danny Green, Mundine, dude. Not many break into that. Tszyu, Jeff Fennick. Jeff Hardy never had that mainstream. Daniel Gill didn't. Victor Chinian definitely didn't been a flyweight and an Armenian, as great as he was. Not many do breaking into that next level in Australia. True?
Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
That's
but
right.
I think, but like when we look back at those superstars, Jeff Fennick was a superstar. You know what I mean? We're relying on some of these guys have got big social media presence, but like as Tassie said, when we're trying to market them on a main event, they're not as big as they think they are. And I'm going to be honest, when it comes down to the numbers of when Fox Sports sit down and run with DNL, Tasman, and No Limit, the numbers are with No Limit. They're not with Jai Opatai and Justice Honey. Now, that comes back to a lot of things. It comes back to the managers and how we market them. But this is the thing with boxing in Australia. We are all... I switch off from it a lot more now, but we're heavily invested in it when we're invested in it. But I'm going to tell you one thing. There's only a couple of fighters, like Tassie said, that can actually walk. Like Kambosos, we're doing some media with him out the back of West Sydney. I didn't think he was going to get mobbed. The fucking guy got mobbed. We got out of the car, and I said to the security guy, fuck, we need one on that. And even George, I said to George in the car, has it gone up in levels now? And he said, yeah, it has. Tszyu would be another one as well. Tszyu, with his security team, would have to, move certain, bounds.
100%, but not many. Sonny Bill Williams can't walk through Sydney. Probably could Melbourne, but not Sydney. But it's different in the days, mate. When Monday still gets stopped at the with him all the time. And, and then, like in Melbourne, that night, Lynden, we were at the fights, was Rafa versus Harmon.
Yeah.
It took an hour to get from the car park into the venue. I said to Chock, I said, you still got it, bruh? He goes, buddy, bruh.
Oh, Chock's unbelievable.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And but not many come like that. Because the fact is, boxing isn't the biggest thing in Australia, but you need a dance partner. Danny Green got big through Monday, and then he went and done his own thing. Credit to Danny, the fights he won. A lot of guys need another dance partner in Australia, and unless you've got that, it's very hard to get over the top to everyone gets stopped.
Like Tassie, and I've related Daniel Gill as a star in Australian boxing because of Chock brought him up, with Daniel Gill. But Daniel Gill to fight Miguel Cotto and do the fights that he did, obviously, often that he was a star of Australian boxing.
It just shits me off that someone like him, who's as great as what he was, could walk through Melbourne tomorrow and not get stopped. That's the problem of it, you know what I mean? And he's one of our most complete boxers we've ever had, Robbie Peter. I mean, it's the trouble that these guys are fucking like. It's pissed me off a bit that certain fighters get all this and so many ones don't. But I mean, it is what it is. I guess it's tough.
And that's like with Tassie. I know he's got strong alliances to it, but when we get back to Tszyu, and I know people have said this before, if he's Tim Smith, no one would know his name. I don't know about that actually. But at the end of the day, when Natalia and Costa had Tim and Nikita, and obviously the daughter, Tszyu didn't wake up. He was born with that name. You know what I mean? Like he didn't ask to be Tszyu, did he? He's Tim.
No, same as Anthony and Tony Mundine. I mean,
exactly, Anthony Mundine.
He's more than carried it on, mate. He is his own man, and March 12th, he's going to even make a bigger statement. I mean, the kid is the real deal. Don't get me wrong.
You be zoned, Tassie. You be zoned in on your fight, mate. With Beau, I'm very keen to see you and Glenn Jennings there on Fight Week.
Sure, that'll be fine.
Tassie, you could be the big story on the Sunday night. Grant Brown, the man that dethroned the Tszyu fucking rival, mate. I'm telling you, are putting your relationship on the line here with Costa, with Glenn Jennings, with Tim. I'm telling you, this is the thing. Now Nunanboy's coming out of his shell and he hasn't had a shot of vodka, but Tszyu gets very animated when Nikita fights. Now, what happens if Beau knocks Nikita over? What are you going to do? Go in the rooms and come on, Timmy, get ready? Mate, you will get kicked out of those rooms. You will not be allowed in. Mate, you might ring Glenn Jennings on Monday morning and this number has now been changed.
Are you saying that I won't get the same treatment of Costa when I go to Russia next time? Because usually
exactly.
Very well. Yeah. Look, it is what it is, mate. It's business, and they've asked for this fight. They've contacted me 3 times now because it was meant to happen before. It was meant to be the main event in March. Now it's on the undercard. So we didn't go chasing about it. Come to us. So It's just
Yeah,
business.
no, I know. But I just think, Taz, that week, you know what fight week's like as we get closer to the Friday press conference, the big no limit weigh-in on the Saturday. Cameron's going to, just remember, Tassie, you've been behind the camera. There's going to be a few cameras coming in on you, mate. I'll tell you,
Should be a ripper.
I'll cross that bridge when I come to it, and
I know.
And I'll just try and do my best, and I'll just take a leaf out of a page out of my good friend Peter Maniaris' book, because we know what Peter's like with the media, and I'll try and do the best I can.
Good stuff. Well, on that note, we'll leave it there. Guys, great to have you along for our first official show of the year. Don't be a stranger, Nick. We want to get you on as often as we can. So I know Taz will be on every week, but we'll try and get you on as often as we can. As soon as that announcement comes with George, we want to hear all about it. And we'll keep everyone abreast of what's happening with Aussie boxing as much as we know. And in the meantime, we'll hopefully see you next week. Thanks very much, guys.
See you, boys.